Hey guys, welcome to my legal classes. This is Ganesh Pujari, and in the series of Evidence Act, we were discussing on chapter 6, which is all about the exclusion of oral by documentary evidence covered between section 91 to 100. In this main series, now that we are focusing on a mini series which is covered between section 93 to 98, which is all about ambiguous documents. When we say ambiguous documents, there are two major types, the patent ambiguity and the latent ambiguity. The term patent ambiguity is covered in section 93 and 94. The same is covered in my last video. In this video and in my next video, I am going to cover the concept of latent ambiguity, which is covered between section 95 to 98. Yes, there are 4 sections, and in this first video, I am going to cover 2 sections, that is section 95 and 96. In video 2, I am going to cover section 97 and 98. Hope that makes sense. With that, I am going to the first slide. This is a repetitive slide. Before I did a video on section 93 and 94, I have made an intro to section 93 to 98, where with a beautiful chart I explained what are the different types of documents available, and after explaining that beautiful chart, I explained this particular slide also. So I'm not investing too much time here, but all we need to understand the meaning of latent ambiguity. I will just refresh you here. In patent ambiguity, the ambiguity is available in the face of document, or you can clearly see the inconsistent or uncertain language in the face of the document itself, whereas in latent ambiguity, it is not available in the face of the legal document. When you see a contract or a grant or disposition of property or any other matter, when you see the document, on the face of the document, it looks like all okay, but when you try to implement the same, there you will feel some difficulty. That is all about latent ambiguity, which is discussed between section 95 to 98. I have also given an illustration that Mr. X says, "Give my car to my grandson A." Now, to that extent, it looks very easy on the face of the document and everything looks right. But when you really try to give the car of Mr. X to his grandson A, you find that there are 2 grandsons with the same name, that is A. Now, there you will feel the difficulty, which is what latent ambiguity all about. Now, in this video, let us discuss 2 important sections, that is section 95 and 96. Section 95 discusses about evidence as to document unmeaning in reference to existing facts. Now, here the section says, when language used in a document is plain in itself but is unmeaning in reference to existence of facts, evidence may be given to show that it was used in a peculiar sense. They have unnecessarily made this section difficult by using the word unmeaning. What is the meaning of the term unmeaning? It means having no meaning or having no significance or meaningless. Now that is the meaning of unmeaning. If you read the section again, when language used in a document is plain in itself but is meaningless in reference to existing facts, evidence may be given to show that it was used in a peculiar sense. When you see the document, you are feeling that all okay, but when you try to implement the terms of the document, you feel that it doesn't have any meaning, or it is insignificant, or it is meaningless. In that case, additional evidence can be given to prove that particular fact. Now, to understand this, we need to take the help of the illustration, which is very, very easy. It says, A sells to B by deed my house in Kolkata. Now, A sells a particular property to B and he mentions that my house in Kolkata. Now, when you go and check in Kolkata, there is no house available. But when you check, there is one house available in Howrah and B has the possession of the same. Now here A can give an additional evidence to prove that when in the contract it was mentioned Kolkata, it was intended to mean Howrah, because Howrah and Kolkata are two cities which are close by. Now, for example, when we say Delhi and Noida, it is almost close by. We are using it together. That way, the interpretation can be given along with additional evidence. The court will allow to give additional evidence because on the face of the document, it doesn't look ambiguous, but then the actual terms when tried to implement there are some certain amount of difficulties, but by showing additional evidence A can prove that his meaning of Kolkata was intended to be Howrah. That is possible, which is what discussed under section 95. This section is based on the famous maxim which says falsa demonstratio non nocet, which means a false description in a particular document will not make the entire document void as long as the intent of the document is very clear. That is what held in this particular case law also, which is Vimala versus Jnaneshwaran, where it was held that it does not apply only to will but to all written instrument. This particular maxim is applicable to all written instruments, which is what held in Vimala versus Jnaneshwaran, and the same was again held in the case law Hari Krishna Lal versus Babu Lal Marandi. The next section, that is section 96, discusses about evidence as to application of language which can apply to one only of several persons. Now here comes the language, and there are multiple aspects here, and the section discusses about when it is applicable to one particular person or thing only. The section says when the facts are such that the language used might have been meant to apply to any one and could not have been meant to apply to more than one of several persons or things, evidence may be given of facts which show which of those persons or things it was intended to apply to. Now you are mentioning something in the legal instrument which is applicable to a particular person or a particular thing. When you are trying to implement, there are several persons or things can be seen together with that particular terms. In that case, the additional evidence can be given to prove that out of those several persons or things, the contract is intended to which particular person or thing. That can be proved again with additional evidence. That is what section 96 says. If you are confused, there are two beautiful illustrations given in the law which makes it all clear. Let us see them one by one. In the first illustration, there are two persons, one Mr. A and the other one Mr. B. A want to sell a horse, B want to buy a horse. Now A agrees to sell his horse to Mr. B for ₹1,000, and in the contract A mentions that my white horse. So basically A is agreeing to sell his white horse to Mr. B for ₹1,000. Now the question arises when there are two white horses available. Now here an additional evidence may be given of facts which show which of them was meant. Now actually which one of them B wanted to actually buy. For that B can give additional evidence. That is possible, or A can also give an additional evidence saying that this was the horse which was supposed to be given. Now that is possible when there are two white horses are available. That is about the first illustration. Here the confusion arises because there are two white horses and in the contract it was mentioned that my white horse. So the confusion arises and the parties can give additional evidence to prove that which horse was actually meant. The second illustration again discusses about two individuals, one Mr. A and one Mr. B. Now before even we getting into the second illustration, we need to remember that Indian Evidence Act is of 1872. That means before independence of India or before the division of India and Pakistan, this particular act came into existence in India, and that way this particular example stands relevant. For today's date, I don't think this will stand relevant. It is not so easy to give this example. Here they are discussing that A agrees to accompany B to Hyderabad. Now B wants to go to Hyderabad and A says, yes, I will accompany you or I will come with you to Hyderabad. Now the question is, which Hyderabad B is talking about? Whether it is the Hyderabad which is available in South India or the one which is in Sindh, which is currently in Pakistan. Which part of Hyderabad is B discussing about? Now to prove that, additional evidence may be given. That is possible under section 96.
How many TBs of data can you store in your mind? It's infinite, right?
Yes, Nishan, you are right. We can store any amount of information in our mind. But all we need to do is we need to be wise to choose which kind of information we have to gather and store in your mind. We have to observe good things, we have to read good things, we have to watch good things, and we have to choose everything that we watch and listen and store in our mind.
With that, I'm concluding this session. Please subscribe our channel. Please like, share and comment our videos. Thank you.